photography would be capturing image of life, capturing moments in time, capturing, it's a lot of artistic expression. It's a lot of people's view of things.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. So essentially it's a selfie, right? Like you're holding up to your phone?
Right.
Yes? Right. And you're taking a photograph of yourself, and behind you are some mats.
Yep.
And there are three guys. Two are wearing their gi, or at least all three of them are wearing their gi.
Oh, yeah.
You're shirtless.
Yeah.
Your head's at the bottom of the image, and you're just kind of holding up the phone or the camera, and you're in a large room with the mats. But there's also like musical gear, so there's like guitars, there are amps, there's keyboards, there's a big TV screen where it says round 17 at 59 seconds. Is it counting down?
So no, it's probably counting up. So yeah.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we had gone through some pretty hard rounds that day.
Wow.
As for the photograph, I can explain some of that to you. So we had to move around a lot because we didn't have a proper gym at first. This photo's a little bit older. And so we just take mats wherever we could go. And so we were actually in a church at this place.
Okay.
And we were using a church as a jiu-jitsu gym.
Oh.
And so we would use that, like I said, because we didn't have our own place. And so it was kind of like we were like sandlot kids, kind of like just have to go where we can. As for like the picture of everyone laid out, I mean, that to me is just like an expression of jiu-jitsu, man. It's just like it drains you out and to the point where you're just literally on the floor, just drained out, about to fall out.
Wasted, for sure.
Yeah. Guys are like dripping in sweat, but I mean, that to me was like some of the best times training jiu-jitsu.
Oh, nice.
We were using a church, and literally we'd train in the mornings at this church. We'd train there every morning. We would literally just put the mats on the ground and we'd go at it. And the mats weren't very big, so you had to almost take turns. You could only fit maybe 2 or 3, 4 people on the mat.
Right.
This photo is like my coach and some just good friends, and you know that's kind of just what jiu-jitsu is, man. It's just like boys being boys, man. You just beat each other out. You get all that aggression out. It becomes like it's almost like enjoyable. Like it sucks the first 6 months, but once you kind of get past that phase, man, it's so much fun. It just like releases all your bad energy, you just feel so silly and chill and relaxed afterwards. So
yeah,
that's why I went for that picture. I just thought it was like good times. We didn't have a gym, just everyone banding together. People had moved away, so it was like good times.
So is this in Hong Kong?
Yeah, that is in Hong Kong.
Okay.
It's actually it's in Central. Actually, we were using a church in Central for a while.
What floor do you remember? Looks high up.
No, it wasn't that high. I think it was only like on the fifth floor.
Okay. So in the photo, essentially, you only see four guys on the mats, sort of clearly after working out for a while, because everybody's got that like exhaustion, fatigue, sort of just. Yeah, and along the side of the wall are just the chairs that are stacked up.
Yeah.
And now that you mentioned that it's a church, it's like, okay, I can see that. I can totally see that. Part of the fun for me is to sort of share with people how they came to do whatever they're doing for meaning. Like the point of the podcast is we have one life.
Yes, agreed.
How do we make the most?
I agree.
Okay, so how did you fall into jiu-jitsu?
So this is going to be embarrassing, but I think I had broke up with my girlfriend at the time, or she broke up with me. Mm-hmm. And so it was this gym. I was living in Colorado at the time. And, I think this gym was like right by my house. I used to see it every day. And so like, it was either like, what am I going to do? Either, drink every day or whatever. So I went into this jiu-jitsu gym like right down the street one day and I just started training. And I didn't think I would stick with it, but at the time, it was kind of just what I needed. So
But had you noticed it before? Had you been thinking about it? Had you seen, like, how did it break into your consciousness?
I don't know. I feel like I had walked by it and I would see it because it was so close to my house. I would see it when I drove by every day, but it was never nothing that was just like, I would look at it and say, that looks like fun. But then like I never really had an urge or nothing to really push me over the edge to go after it.
Right.
And I feel like that was probably like, after that happened, like a breakup, I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna try this.
You need something, yeah. So you're living in Colorado. I mean, I know from having met you that, you know, you're more, I think of you more as anchored to Georgia.
Yeah,
right.
I grew up in Georgia. So I grew up in Georgia. I grew up in Atlanta. I mean, I moved all over the place when I was a kid. So we moved around a lot. My parents, he was in the military, so we moved around a lot. I moved to Colorado when I was probably, I don't know, 26, 27.
Okay.
So yeah, so
how long have you been doing BJJ then?
7 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And before doing this, did you do another kind of martial art at all, or?
I think when I was a kid, the only thing I ever did was Taekwondo, but it was never nothing big. I just did that for a little while but no. I don't know. It was so weird how it happened. I don't know. I think it was just like one of those, maybe call it a midlife crisis, maybe just like
midlife crisis when you were like 20.
Well, okay, maybe not 20, but like it was just like, I don't know.
No, you just needed it. That's like just what brought you to the door.
Career change, is that what they call it? You know, people just like get to a point where like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's like you termed it really well. You said, how'd you fall into it? Like literally just kind of fell into it.
Right.
Just kind of stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of the model that you've kind of have been sort of doing here in Hong Kong, from my training in Muay Thai, what I like is that it's not stuffy. It's not too like uptight with rules and everything, and so that's kind of my experience. It's been my experience with training with you as well. It's been getting together and just getting some skills and just really just teaching your body or kind of learning how to move. And after like 25 years of doing Muay Thai and then doing BJJ, which is so completely different and just being such a useless and beginner and everything. How did you get from Colorado to Hong Kong to suddenly be teaching BJJ?
Okay, so this is a whole nother story.
Well, this is the podcast is all story. That's all we have.
I mean, I'll take you down a whole nother path here.
Awesome.
How did I get from Colorado to Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So initially I was, how I got to Colorado, I had a coffee shop in Colorado. I had a coffee bar I owned, and then I had sold that. And so I had some money and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So
what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what? This is amazing. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
So I young, sold this, got some money in my pocket. Don't know what I want to do. Don't want to move back to Georgia. Didn't like it there. So I had been living in Thailand. Well, not living, but I had been in Thailand for a while, living as a missionary.
Okay.
And so I had friends. They were there, and they were rescuing these orphan kids. And so like they would go out and, find these kids in like trash cans or whatever. So they would take in as many as they can. So he said they needed help. So he's like, why don't you come over? So I ended up going to Thailand.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
I'm floored. Okay.
So I'm in Thailand and we got this house and we're helping take care of.
Which city?
We were in Udon.
Okay.
And so I'm helping my friend, and they, like I said, they got a house. I think we had 6 kids at the time. They were all staying in this house, so we had this big house, which is pretty cheap in Thailand. Mm-hmm. And so he was saying that he was going to go back to the States. So I said, okay. So I went back to the States. He said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I would try to do some mission work, whatever I could do. But I said I didn't want to leave Asia. So he said, well, what are you going to do? So I said, well, I'll probably just go stay in Asia. He said, where? I said, well, I hadn't been to Hong Kong or Singapore yet. He suggested you should go home, think about it, pray about it, and then decide if you want to go to Singapore, or he said go to Singapore, Hong Kong, all those places, and then come back and talk to me. So that's exactly what I did. I flew to Singapore. I stayed there for like a week. This was like 2016, 17. Flew to Hong Kong. I stayed here for like, I think it was here for like 3 weeks. Went back home. So he said, all right, you've been to Thailand, Singapore, any other places you want to go? I said, maybe Japan, but I think I got it narrowed down. I said, if I could do anything, I'll just move to Hong Kong. He said, all right, do it. So I went back, bought a ticket, one-way ticket, showed up to Hong Kong, didn't have a job, didn't have a place to stay, didn't have a visa, didn't have anything, literally just showed up with nothing. And the first day I got here, my friend of mine had a meeting with somebody, and they were like, literally, oh, this is Jonathan. I just picked him up from the airport. And they're like, oh, what's he do? They're like, well, he needs a job. So this person offered me a job on the spot. So showed up with no job, and I had a job the first day.
Wow.
And then I had a place to stay. I think I was staying someplace. Where was I staying? Oh, I was staying at his house for like 2 weeks, and I didn't have a place to stay, so I had to hurry up and find a place to stay. And let's see what happened. Oh, the day he was like, all right, you only got like 2 weeks, and I ended up finding an apartment like literally the last day. I found an apartment, and so like that fell into place. So then they started like applying for my visa. So like literally just came here on a whiff and a prayer. Got a job, all worked out, right?
Wow.
So
clearly, here we are. Yeah, nice.
So now I've been here like 3 years. So I had left that one job after 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I didn't know what I wanted to do. So again, the whole jiu-jitsu thing just kind of fell in place. I was already training with my coach Viking. And
training where?
So I was training with them in Lai Chi Kok.
Oh, okay.
And then we'd move around. So we'd do morning sessions. We trained a lot. So we'd have night sessions in Lai Chi Kok. And then we'd have morning sessions in Central. Okay. And then maybe like a gym would, like for instance, like a gym closed down. So then we couldn't do morning sessions anymore. So we had to find a new place. Right. So we'd go somewhere else. Then we'd do night sessions at Lai Chi Kok. Then we'd use like the church. I was working with the church at the time. So I was like, okay, why don't we use the church? So then we'd use that for a while. And then we kind of just traveled around. And so, so after I left that, again, how did I get here? I mean, you got me. I kind of just came over here with nothing. Felt like I was supposed to come here.
When you say here, you mean Sai Kung?
Like Hong Kong. Oh, that's how I got to Hong Kong.
Right.
As for Sai Kung, that's just another story.
Right.
I had friends here. They were like, because I used to live in Jordan, so they was like, oh, so what are you going to do now? And then I had friends reach out to me. They said, well, if you're going to leave your old job, maybe we could help employ you. You could move out to Sai Kung. I said, all right. So then people, oh, we can get you a job, da-da-da. So they got me a new job. And then one thing led to another, like, oh, why don't you just do your own thing? Why don't you just do jiu-jitsu? And I was like, okay. So, I mean, I was working for them, but then they were kind of like more kicking me to the entrepreneur curve. They were like, you should just start a business. I was like, oh, okay.
So, wait, okay. I've known you for about 3 months, I guess.
Yeah.
2 to 3 months. Yeah, not that. So I'm very new to all this.
Yeah.
And I've never heard your story. Well, amazing. Now, you said you had your own coffee shop.
Yep.
So what got you into running a coffee shop? Like how did that sort of like, I'm going to be a business owner, a young business owner?
Yeah. So I was going to this college, a small college in Colorado, and like they literally had no place to eat.
Okay.
Like, it'd be like if you were at like, can we say the Hive?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Okay. Yeah.
Let's say you were at the Hive, but let's say the Hive didn't have anything. Like,
no
let's say they didn't,
no coffee.
Let's say they didn't have a coffee bar at all.
Yeah.
But this wasn't a business; it was just a college.
Sure.
And all day everybody complained. I wish there was something to eat. We had to go all the way over there to across the street to Sai Kung McDonald's to get food or something. So my friend he knew one of the owners, or he knew one of the big wigs, and he was like, well. They had a business school. We were all going to business school at the time. He said, well, you should let me, my business model would be to put a concession stand in your college. And they were like, and he was like, I'll give you rent, I'll do this. And they were like, that's a great idea. We'll just contract it out.
Yeah.
So my friend brought me on as the employee, and he literally made me do everything, train me, and he was just the owner. And then, so he did that for about a year. And then one day he comes to me, he says, you're doing can we cuss?
Yeah.
He goes, you're doing a...
Motherfucker, go for it, baby.
He goes, well, you're doing a shit hot job with the concession stand. You want to buy it? Because I'm leaving. I'm moving to Alaska. I was like, okay, sure. So I bought the concession stand. Well, it was just like a little concession stand with chips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One thing leads to another, and then people start. Oh, you should have coffee. Oh, so we get coffee. Well, you should get this. Oh, we get that.
Right.
So now a year later, now it was like this. It's like a little coffee bar like this.
Yeah.
Grew and grew.
Okay.
And so by the time I had that for 2 years, and then by the time I was ready to leave, the college was like, I'll sell it to you. And they were like, all right, we'll buy everything from you.
Oh, wicked.
So
Nice.
yeah.
So wait a second. You went to business school.
Yes.
Okay. Other things, these layers. I love it. Look, let's shift over to the next photograph.
Sure.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it